Two things that scream summertime are beach balls and mermaids. We're making both. Welcome to Up All Night DIY. I'm Monica. Thanks for joining me. It's the Can't Sleep Creations Summer Ain't Over collab, hosted by Dawn of Shabby Meets Bling, Jody of Jody at Southern Seasons, and me. Hi. For this late night crafting pajama party, we're joined by many of our very talented friends. You'll find a link to the playlist along with links to my co-host channels in the description box. Let's get into it. I'll be using a 2-inch foam ball that I'll flatten the bottom of by smacking it on the table. Keeps it from rolling about. And we'll need some model magic. I grab a handful of clay and condition it by kneading it. And I'll roll it flat with my brayer, nice and thin. I lay the clay over top of the ball, and I'm going to press it to make sure it has really good contact. I'll pull off anywhere where there's extra clay, and I'll fill in any of the gaps until the ball's completely covered. Once it's covered, I'll roll the ball around on the table to smooth it out. And then I'm going to set it aside to dry for a wee bit. Now that it's mostly dry, I'll paint it to look like a beach ball. I'm going to divide my ball into 4 sections. 2 will be CERAMCOAT watermelon, and the other 2 will be CERAMCOAT velvet teal. I outline the sections first because I find that easier, then I come back in and fill them in. Each section will get 2 coats. I love this velvet teal color, so pretty. Let's add some white stripes between the sections. Right, okay. Now let's set that aside and work on our mermaid. As I was making her, I was thinking Fisher-Price people go to the beach. Remember those little Fisher-Price characters? I'd love them. So once again, I grabbed a handful of clay, conditioned it, and I'm going to color the clay by adding some acrylic paint. This is CERAMCOAT Tawney, which I'm going to use for the mermaid's skin. Once I add the paint, I'll just work the clay until the paint is completely incorporated. And it doesn't really take very long, couple minutes tops. I'll use acrylic paint to color all the clay that I'm using for the mermaid. Okay, I'm going to use CERAMCOAT Turquoise for her tail. And we're going to use CERAMCOAT Calypso Orange for her hair. This is a pretty yellowish orange, very light in color. To create our Fisher-Price mermaid, we're going to roll out a small ball of the tawny color for her head. And I'm going to pinch a point on the ball. This is going to be her nose, and I'm just using my fingers to ever so slightly pinch that point. See? Cute, right? I roll another small ball to create her body. Now, I'm going to roll this into kind of a bell shape, slightly narrower at the top and flat on the bottom. I snipped a wee bit of floral wire, about 2 inches long. I'll insert it into the body. A toothpick works for this too. And I'm going to slide the head on top of the wire. Simple, right? Now let's make her tail. I'll roll a log from the turquoise clay, narrowing it at one end. I can't speak today. I'll flatten it a wee bit, and I'll widen the bigger end just a smidge. I want this to be wide enough for her body to sit on. This is such a simple project, gang. It really is. I'm just going to shape it with my fingers. Let's see. Okay, that looks like it's a good shape. So now I'm just going to fuss with the shape a wee bit. I add a drop of Sobo glue. Any craft glue will work. This is what I had on hand. And I'm going to sit her right on top. I've rolled 2 teeny tiny turquoise balls for her seashell bra. And I'm going to push them right into place. I'm kind of flattening them a wee bit too. You know, this one's not in the right position. Let me switch that up. There we go. That's better. Aw, so cute. To make her tail fin, I cut a circle from flattened turquoise clay, and I'll push it onto the end of her tail. You know, looking at this, I probably could have been a little bit neater, but oh well. Now I'm going to cut a wee triangle out to make that split in her fins. I add some lines in her tail with my tool here, just slight impressions. To anchor her to the beach ball, I push half a toothpick into the center of the beach ball, and I'm just going to push her right on top. And I'm going to shape her tail over the curve of the ball. You know, give her kind of like knees. And just push that right to the ball. To make her arms, I rolled out a thin snake of Tawney clay. I've cut that in half. With my finger, I flatten one end of her arm for her hand, kind of giving her hand a slight point. With scissors, I cut a small slit into the clay to create her thumb, and I push her arm into place, positioning her hand on the ball. There, you can kind of see the thumb, right? And I'll just give it a slight bend at the wrist. I roll thin snakes from the Calypso Orange clay, which I'll flatten with my fingers. I'm going to give them a slight twist to make them ropey, like hair gets from salt water, you know what I mean? And I'll add them to her head until it's completely covered with wavy locks. I have some turquoise clay left, so I'm going to use that up. I roll a thin snake, cut it in half, line it up side by side, and give it a twist. I'm going to add it to her waist for a wee bit of embellishment and to give it a more finished look. She needs something for her hair, so we'll make tiny nautilus shells by rolling wee turquoise snakes and coil them up like this. I'll make 5 of them. I place them like a crown across the top of her head, and I'm going to let her dry overnight. Now we can paint the details. I start with her cheeks, using a dowel to dot CERAMCOAT Melon on either side of her pointy wee nose. Yeah, she's all cheek here. I use my 000 detail brush and CERAMCOAT Raw Sienna to outline her lashes, and I'll give her a wee smile too. I go over her lashes with CERAMCOAT charcoal, darken them up a wee bit. I'll use some folk art floating medium to add some shading. The medium is a clear gel. It'll soften the paint colors and make it slightly translucent. I'm really just going to make this kind of a wash. I load my brush with the medium, then I'll dip it into the Bittersweet Orange, which I'm going to use to shade her ropey locks. I'm just really going along the edges. Nothing too particular about this, just anywhere where I feel it might need a little more color. You feel me? You get the general idea, yeah? She gets raw sienna eyebrows, and I'm going to shade her skin with it too. I'm just going to wash the areas that would naturally have shadow, like around her face, where her body meets her arms, etc. I really suppose I could have left her just as she was, but you know, I always like to go a little extra. I'm washing her crown, her bra, and her tail with AMERICANA Bluegrass Green mixed with the floating medium. I really just want to accent those little curves in the nautilus shells and in the twist around her waist. You know what I mean. Add a little detail to the bra. And just accentuating the twist here. Adding the wash to her tail fin lines. Now, that one is too much, so I grab a clean brush, dip it in just the medium to erase it, and I'll redo it. Simple as that. And now we'll just come down along the tail and across the knees, and that's that. Now this part I wasn't even sure I should even bother to show you because the color is so light you can barely see it on camera. But I'm adding Tropic Bay dots with a toothpick to her tail to emulate scales. Then I'm going to add CERAMCOAT surfboard dots. And then white dots to her cheeks and her nose. And I'll also add some teeny dots to her crown. And again to her tail for extra detail. I'm going to highlight all those dots I already put on there, the scales. Now I think I'm going to come in and wash some white onto her hair, just a wee bit, and to her tail, and then the beach ball to highlight. This is almost a dry brush, but I do have the white tone down with the medium. I'll use a cosmetic sponge to pounce her with Deco Art Multi-Purpose Sealer, and our mermaid will be done. She really does remind me of the Fisher-Price family people. I had the house when I was a kid. It was my favorite. I know that was kind of a quick one today. I hope you liked it. Please be sure to check out Dawn and Jody's channels, as well as the playlist. You'll find links in the description box and a list of my supplies. I hope everyone is enjoying their summer. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Stay creative, my friends. Thanks for hanging with me. See you next time. Up all night with Monica.